All right, this is gonna be a crazy video because I'm not good at resampling when it comes to using that as a workflow. But I think it's important because some people live by it and love it. Their tried and truth is to resample. And I think that's because the pattern mode was so awful on the other older SPs that they didn't, that was their only means was to do resample. And so for some people, it's still their valid method. If your timing is off, though, it's really bad. So you have to work on your timing when using resample. I would say it's not good for somebody who's a beginner or somebody who's just starting out. So what do I mean by resample? Well, that's that button right there. If you can see it, it says resample. I have some drums. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by playing the drums. So what I would start with is hit resample. You'll see the pads are, the ones that are blinking are actually available. The ones that aren't are taken. So I'm gonna pick pad 1. And it's gonna wait for me to start playing because I have it on wait, right? So let's do something. Okay, I messed up. So let's do this, exit. So if you hit exit and you realize you messed up before, don't hit record again, just hit exit and then it won't, it doesn't, it's like it's undoing it for you, right? So then go back here, hit it again. Now we're gonna go in. See, I messed up, so don't hit exit. Hit this pad again, do it again. 4. Okay, now hit record to stop it. So and I may be wrong on this, but resample, and then you gotta hit record to stop the resample, right? So here it is. And if, oh, by the way, gate's on every time unless you tell it not to, right? So just go ahead and take gate off. That means I'm gonna play it as a one shot, right? So. Okay, nope, stop. By the way, if you get frustrated with that, it's either shift exit. So let's say it's going and you're looking at it, you're like, God, I want it to stop. Shift exit stops it. Or exit like 4 times, I think it is. You can do either one of those. All right, shift exit is quicker. All right, so I always know that I leave the last. No, I say this in any video if you're using SP or even Koala, if you're doing like resample where you're playing the drums in, you always leave that first note on the next line, right? So that's what I did right here. It's a kick. And so that way I know where I should chop it at. I'm gonna zoom in. You see me zooming in. Hopefully you can see that pretty clear. Yeah, I should turn off the light so you can see it. Zoom in right up into there. You only have 11 times zoom. So you wanna, yeah, there you go. Use that and then press this button in and you'll see truncate. So truncate that, done. Now you can either wind this button to get out or you can just hit exit, either way. But I just want you to be able to see the waveform. So there's the waveform. I'm gonna press loop and now that should be a loop. See? So let's talk about something here. We'll stop it. The downside of this is if you make a mistake or if your drumming is really, really bad, like mine's not really, really good. It's not really, really bad, but it's not really, really good. Then you have to just do it over. The good part about that is, and nobody likes to hear this, is that it will make you a better drummer. Because you don't want to be doing this 100 times. So you'll get used to, if you practice it enough, you'll get used to drumming and getting your drums on time. You do have the metronome click or the click in the back, so you can turn that on or off. I always leave it on just so it keeps me kind of in is it syncopated is the right word? This is what happens when you try to use big words and you need to leave that alone. All right, I'm not going to use that word. But try to stay in tune or in rhythm, basically. All right. So there you go. So now what I would do if I'm in the resample mode is I have my kicks, I have my snare. Now I need a hat. So I would hit resample. We're gonna exit out of here first. Hit resample. It's gonna ask you to pick the pad you want to sample to. I'm gonna go here, but you have to, this is the hard part. You have to get the timing right. So in order to do it, you have to press it and start playing right away. That's where it's more of a challenge. Okay, so if you notice what I played it longer. Why did I do that? Oh, let's stop it actually. I played it longer so that I could, like if my first hit was off, for instance, my first hat was off or something, then take the gate off. Then I would be able to see where to do it. And it would get better as I play along, right? Because you get in the groove. So let's listen to it. Sounds terrible. But you still see I left that one at the end, right? That's what you want to do. Leave that little space at the end, so at least you know where the ending is. But let's say you don't like the beginning part, but you don't mind the other part. So you might go back in and try to find where that first part starts, right? Which I think I'm not going to guess. Hold on. Okay, right there. Oops. Jeez. Put the gate back on if you have to stop it. It drives me nuts when it does that too. Okay, so yeah, so that would be the stopping point. I'm actually gonna leave the gate on for now until I get it set. Okay, so you want to be. This is where it's not, it requires attention to detail. So that would be the first kick right there. And if you wonder if you want to zero snap it, then just hold the resample. There you go. So now it's zero snap. But for me on this one, I'm going to zoom in. I want it to be closer. So I'm going to go right there. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to truncate that. That's my beginning. I'm going to zoom out. And I already know I left the end portion here, right? So this is just training yourself to think a little bit differently than what you would do if you had a MIDI note, where it's super simple on a MIDI note to just adjust the MIDI note. Like, really the MIDI notes are so much easier because you just move the MIDI note and keep on pushing. And so I know people will gravitate toward that if they're just trying to make a quick beat or something like that. But this is a different type of workflow. So you have to ask yourself, is this workflow for you? And it may not be for you. For me, I like it because it's a little more challenging. I like what the character of this box does for the drums, to the sound of the music. I like that. And even if I didn't use it for anything else, I would use it for my drums and perhaps to shape and color the drums. That would be like for sure happening because it just sounds good. And I like the way samples sound through it too. So even like when you're doing that, if you're not sampling, I would not buy this machine if you're not going to be sampling at all, or because you could technically do a lot of this stuff in a DAW, which is true. But this machine is great for everything else, and I find it to be fun because I get bored. Just my problem is when I get into a routine of doing a workflow in a DAW, what happens is sometimes I could just do the same routine like 10, 20 times, and then I'll be bored with it, and I don't want to do it. So if I switch that up and I go switch up the workflow a little bit, this gives me a different type of workflow, and I can take that and use it with the DAW. Now I have the drums have more character. I feel like I don't have to do as much in the DAW. I feel like I'm using it more like an instrument, which is to me more important, the sound. So getting back to what we were originally talking about, because you see how I can get off topic quick for sure. Right now, this thing is set to fix, by the way. I'm gonna turn the fix off. So that way it hits based on how hard I hit it. I really didn't realize that was on fix, so now that's why my drums are so dang loud. But it's okay, we did it what we did. So yeah, be aware of that. That if you hit shift fix velocity, it will turn it to fix, and then you have to turn it off. And fix is okay if you want everything at the same level, but I like the velocity. That's like my velocity sensitivity on pads is one of the reasons that steered me to buy this machine, because before they didn't have that, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I really want that, because you would have to have the 16. You have the 16 velocity too. You can do so. Let's say you're on the hats. Let me turn this up. Right, then you could go touch it, hit there, and now you have. So you have different levels. But to me, if I have the velocity on here, it's just basically how I use my pressure. Right. So then I have more control. I feel like I'm making something there. But anywho, you see the point. All right, so turn it down. So now we have a loop, which is not turned on. So turn on. Oh, and by the way, you have to make sure your loop is the L. You see this little L that's moving in the screen? You see that? Needs to be all the way to the left if you want it to start loop back there. If you put it here, it's going to loop wherever you put it. So you want it over here. All right, so there's the loop. Now we have I think that's about a 4-bar loop, I'm guessing. And you can move on to the next step. So that's the resample method. The next step will obviously be, hold on, let me add. Next step will be adding maybe some type of chords or something that you want to play in. Let's do this. Let's put some chords on here. So you could do that. So now I'm going to show you that portion. So hit exit out of there first of all. Hit resample, select this pad. Now you have to start on the 1. So okay, so now we hit record. Okay, so then it's the same principle. You have to find the ending where it's at. So I have the gate on, so I'm holding it down till I find it. So the next piece happens right about there. And I truncate that. I'm guessing right now, but I think that's where it's at just based on what I saw. Hit that. Make sure you turn on loop. Okay. Then you move to your next track that you're going to use. Let's say you're going to do... So you get the point. You just keep building the song up, right? In the patterns that you're doing. So you're starting out with the kick snare, then you go to the hat kick snare, then you go to the hat kick snare chords. That's the resample method. The problem I have with that is that I like to mix the stuff. And unless you're really good in here where you can mix in this box, and there are people that can do it because they've been doing it for years, that's not my method to the madness. I can't do that because I want to make the song sound a little bit better. And so the box entertains me when it comes to the drums. It entertains me when it comes to creating. It entertains me according to sampling. But then when I'm trying to like really complete a song and make something full out, I said the box. That's terrible. I meant to say the resample method. But the problem I have with it is the pattern method is much better when it comes to individual parts. Plus, how in the world am I going to mute out something when it's all, you know what I'm saying? It's all played into, this is baked into there. So this is cool for certain things I can see myself using, but just so you know, the resample method is for a certain type of person that wants that vibe. And they want to just to make it just straight raw. This is what it is. There is no go back and fix it type thing. And so, yeah. So that's the end of this video. I am tired. I gotta go get some to eat. But I just wanted to show you the resample method that people are using. The other option is if you want to use some effects to try to make yourself a different drum kick. Now that part appeals to me with the resample, and that is what I will be using it mostly for, is doing that, is just building the sound of the drum to sound different so that I can have some unique drum parts to it, or even unique samples in that way too. That is the end of this video. Again, I said that twice, so I'm really ended now. Anyway, until the next one, yeah, just wanted to show you some of my thoughts and what on the resample stuff. All right, I'm out. Later.